Robert, let's do the pipe bomber story, which is wild. That they apparently, I want to make sure to explain this. Apparently, they know who the pipe bomber is. It's a woman who's an employee, who has now, if I'm not mistaken, been bumped up to the CIA or is involved in the CIA.
Well, maybe was always at the CIA.
Well, and allegedly, now, so the way they've determined this, Steve Baker, and I don't want to not give credit to the other I think there was a co-author. Steve Baker put out a piece. It's a bombshell. The only question is whether or not it's true, because the way they've identified this asset, CIA asset, who allegedly planted the bomb, was based on what they call a gait analysis. Gait, like the way you walk, GAIT. And they did a gait analysis. You'll tell me if I'm missing any of the other evidence that they used to identify her. And it's either an FBI agent at the time or a CIA asset at the time who planted these pipe bombs. And they allegedly, I think, knew of this and did not disclose it, and have not disclosed it even under the new FBI, which is under Cash Patel and Bongino. And then the question becomes, if this is true, why in the name of sweet holy hell would the current FBI not be blowing the lid off of this? Or are they still investigating and they didn't want to rat out that they knew who it was, and Steve Baker et al. Have now blown the cover and let the cat out of the bag? Tell me if I missed any key details as to who the individual was. I know that they were she was known to everybody and was deliberately not investigated. But if this turns out to be a CIA asset or an FBI asset, and we've called this a Fedsurrection from the beginning, why would the current administration not be interested in blowing this up and blowing this out of the water?
No doubt about it. Because, for those that may not recall, there was someone who planted purported pipe bombs at the Democratic National Committee and other places that was used to, in my opinion, exaggerate the events of January 6th. The allegation is that the person who did it was a member of the Capitol Police at the time and now works for the Central Intelligence Agency. I haven't known a lot of progress, traditional career paths, to go from the Capitol Police to the CIA. Unless, of course, maybe you're already working at the CIA and infiltrated the Capitol Police. But either way, the same individual that has now been identified by Steve Baker's investigative work is also one of the lead witnesses against the January 6th defendants as to what happened at the Capitol that day. Not only that, the same person was identified as one of the lead instigators of how the crowd lost control, which was she was firing pepper balls into the crowd.
I just want to stop you. She looks like she's changed quite a bit. The jaw is there and the jaw is up there. So unless this is not the same person, it does appear that this was a woman who now apparently set up the pipe bombs, antagonized the crowd with pepper spray balls in a manner that Steve Baker had also reported. Experts say was potentially lethal. When you're firing rubber bullets at people's heads, that's potentially lethal. Sorry, I cut you off there. Okay.
No, exactly. So in other words, this person exposes. We already know there are hundreds of undercover informants, infiltrators, and instigators that were on some form of federal government payroll, directly or indirectly, from a range of other reports, but that information, they've still suppressed the details of who those people are. But you add that to everything that took place. Remember, there was unusual security lapses that day, unusual people were being directed to places other than where the actual rally was supposed to occur. So they basically funneled them into this place where they ended up being sort of locked in, and then started firing pepper balls at them. And then when some of them responded, they created sort of a riotous atmosphere. They then got to say, "See, look, insurrection, everybody." And it appears a key member of Capitol Police was the key infiltrator, instigator the entire time. And this person has been identified. Are you going to be surprised if she bats the other way? You know what I mean?
Definitely not if I'm playing on stereotypes, definitely not by the lower right. I don't know what sport she's playing. That might reduce the guessing a little bit more. Okay, I'm joking, but not joking.
No doubt about it. And apparently, according to Kyle Serafin and others, there was evidentiary leads from the get-go that then got suddenly shut down on all of this. And so on their own, the Steve Baker and others, some of these suspendables, other people, did some forensic evidence matchups and identified who this person is, and that there was already leads that this was who it was all the way back at the beginning, and it just all got shut down.
Well, now, back in the beginning, under Biden's admin or Biden's FBI, that makes sense. I mean, you're gonna have to put forward a theory as to why the current admin would not have blown the lid off this.
It raises serious questions. What exactly is going on? Is it the fact this person is under CIA Director Ratcliffe? This is a guy who lied to the president to get us to bomb Iran by laundering bogus intel from Mossad, lied to the president to extend the conflict in Gaza by lying to the president about what Hamas's negotiation position was. This is a guy, John Ratcliffe, who lied to the president to get him to say all kinds of things that look really dumb in retrospect. Some of us saw it as dumb at the time, about what's happening in Ukraine, where Ukraine continues to just bleed out and lose over and over and over and over again on the battlefield. And where did the false intel that all the casualties were Russian and so few of them were Ukrainian? Ratcliffe. So Ratcliffe is part of this deep state cabal that he masqueraded as MAGA in order to usurp control and influence. And whatever's happened, they used Epstein to completely neuter the Justice Department, neuter deep state inquiries and investigations, neuter Kash Patel. Some people call him counterfeit cash these days, to neuter Dan Bongino in ways that this will be humiliating if it comes out to be true. Why? I mean, just humiliating. It will make Bongino look like a joke. And, if Bongino has an iota of pride left, he's got to make sure something happens here.
Well,
and if it doesn't happen, step down and resign if you're this useless.
Well, okay, so there's two possibilities. It's let's say the easiest one is it's not true, it's incorrect. Okay, fine. I don't know who can sue for, there could be lawsuits for defamation, I would presume, but set that aside. The easiest explanation is it's not true and they know it, so they don't need to, give it any heed. If it's true, then the question is going to be, are they currently working on it? Or, like what I'm understanding from what you're saying, and it's the darkest of the cynical theories, is that the cover-up, which involved other people now, is so deep that they can't reveal it without discrediting key players in the Trump administration and the Trump administration itself.
Yeah, it's same as Epstein. Right. I mean, it's Epstein getting replayed over and over and over and over again in multiple contexts. You have Tulsi Gabbard making speeches about how we're not going to do regime change, while Ratcliffe and Rubio and Bessent are inside the White House trying to get the president to do regime change in Venezuela. So, I mean, it's the degree of sabotage has so derailed the Trump presidency and public perception that the election last Tuesday was a wipeout. And right now they're on pace to get utterly wiped out in a year from now. And then all we're going to get is investigations and impeachments. That's the path they're on. That's the path these people have put them on. Soros, Scotty Bessent, Narco, Marco Rubio, always been a neocon, Swampy Susie Wiles. I mean, I'll give another example. Credit to the president for saying he's going to support this, but this has been in the works for about 6 months. There's a group of us that had been proposing that the antitrust division use its power to go after the big ag monopolists who are jacking up so many food prices across the country. And to give you an idea, someone gave Trump false information that Walmart's Thanksgiving package was now really reduced, not realizing they changed what was in the package. The actual cost of turkey is up like 25%. There has been no massive price reduction. And people had gaslit Trump, and that was leading Trump to gaslit other people in public statements that are backfiring on him. Mm-hmm. This is all part of a common pattern. This is part of this sort of old corporate fiefdom and deep state crowd and Wall Street aligned individuals that have deep power in the White House and within the administration who've been hijacking the Trump administration now for 6 months in such a way that it was a disaster. I mean, it was not just like Democratic states; it was Republican areas within those states and other Republican.
Yeah, I just saw a comment that said, losing in blue states is not a blowout. Well, first of all, Jay Jones, the murder supporter, got elected.
Yeah, and won by 6 points. Not only that, the Republicans got wiped out in Pennsylvania. Republicans got wiped out in Georgia. Republicans got hammered in Texas. The effort to stop any recall effort got hammered in California in Republican areas. And it was all the same pattern. New MAGA, working class minorities and millennials, shifted back to being more Democratic than they were before 2016. If this pattern holds up, they will lose 30 to 40 seats in the House. They may lose the Senate. These seats say, you no longer competitive. Iowa will be competitive again. Ohio will be competitive again. If you don't wake up to this screaming warning signal that this election signified. And, J.D. Vance mostly gets it. Other people in the administration mostly get it. But there's a whole bunch of people who don't because their money depends on him not getting it. So as an example, the idea that we had been proposing use the antitrust laws to break up the big ag cartels particularly in the cattle business, but in other space as well. Trump came out for it, thank goodness. Already there's an effort by bad faith actors, and I'm going to name one of them here. Mike Davis is a fraud and corporate whore. So Mike Davis is busy selling his power, selling his pitch. That's why he's lying on a daily basis. Lie, 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 lie. Remember he said there was a group of people working together to get Comey, and then they had to rush the indictment, which is now blowing up in other ways in the courtroom. He's just lying because he's lining his pockets by going to people to undermine antitrust investigations, undermine other cases. So he's just a complete fraud, phony, fake. He's decided to sell out. That's what he's decided to do. There's a bunch of these kind of people. So hopefully Trump realizes the problem, returns to putting voters first and donors second, or this problem is going to I can't say the word metastasize.
Metastasize.
Metastasize, that's it. It's going to metastasize like a cancer. And that's what this J6 case reveals. Here you had with Epstein, you had a huge gift to unravel the deep state that they completely screwed up and self-sabotaged. And now we're seeing it's part of a pattern. It's not isolated. Even John Solomon is finally saying Pam Bondi's not doing anything. Pam Bondi's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be doing things, and the progress is very, very slow.
Actually, reading some of the chats, and I'm seeing the meme of you blowing smoke out of your ears because of the rage. But the people sabotaging the Trump administration to discredit his key players in ways that are going to be difficult to come back from. Kash Patel, what's he doing over in Asia? Is he in Japan flying to South Korea?
He loves that private plane.
But what is he doing? He's the director of the FBI. Are they pushing him out because he's screwing things up, or is he just gallivanting around and not doing his job?
That's what it appears to be. This is a guy who is highly critical of Christopher Wray using that plane. And I get there's some security protocols he can use to justify it. He himself said that shouldn't be happening. And as soon as he gets in there, remember he's going to turn the FBI into a deep state museum? Instead, he's often empowered a lot of the same corrupt actors. He's often rewarded them. He's often promoted them. People who are part of the horrendous Arctic Frost investigation, many of them got promoted. Still in those promoted positions. He still failed to take remedial action. We're not seeing any. He gets basic stuff wrong, like when he does the mob indictment, which really was just about poker games. The mob wasn't involved they tried to pretend they were involved in fixing the NBA. Those are two totally different scandals, two totally different things. He even gets basic facts in it wrong. Like people like Jeff Nadu who cover this. He's like, I don't think Patel even understands what the case is. And this is a guy who's not political. Jeff Nadu, covers the mob. He does, sports betting, all that. That's how embarrassing this is becoming. And if this is the case, credit to Steve Baker for outing it because it unravels the whole thing. Once if it turns out accurate, and Baker's got a good reputation in history. Remember, Baker was targeted himself.
Yeah, no. Well, Baker has not. I don't know that he's been wrong about anything important. And this is a massive story where I'm sitting there saying, like, I know everybody's going to say I have a thing for Bonjit. I know him and I trust him and I like him. And this would be if he's not able to make the decisions, and if this is like he's being told to accept this. and he wants to see the Trump administration succeed. And he knows that if he resigns, like he threatened to do allegedly when Bondi was fucking up the Epstein stuff, well, that'll hurt the Trump administration. So whether or not he's taking his bruises to preserve the Trump administration to his own detriment, it would be a nice, way to rationalize what's going on. But at some point, if the FBI can't find the bomber, despite all of their promises, that'll be an indication of their ineptitude. And if they can't reveal it because of the corruption, that's going to be exponentially worse. And I don't know.
I mean, this all started when they came out and said Epstein killed himself, right? It wasn't just shutting down the Epstein file. Remember that nonsense, that hostage video where they're like, oh, no, Epstein definitely killed himself. Yeah, we know it. We saw it, definitely. And it's like, okay, sorry. Nobody really buys that. Nobody really believes that. And it was a sign that if they could crack them on that, if they could get them to cower on that, they could get them to cower on anything, cower on everything. And instead, they've run around like chief sheriffs. Oh, look at this drug person I busted. Oh, look at this case I busted.
And the Operation Halloween, whatever the Halloween pumpkin case, the alleged terrorism plot in Michigan, which to the extent I'd say good for. I mean, they deserve credit for that. Unless now I go back to what we talked about, these FBI setup jobs where they can say, look what we did. And it was a total entrapment. Whitmer, the other one there, the Sears building in Chicago, I think, was the other one where they literally entrapped a Muslim guy. And the judge, we talked about the case, said it was the worst case of entrapment they've ever seen. Set it up so they could say, look at the success we're having. We foiled a Halloween terror plot. Forget about Epstein. Forget about the pipe bomber. We're now damn near a year into the administration. The pipe bomber was one of the biggest things that we were waiting for delivery on, investigation into. And
unlocks the whole scam of the Fedsurrection. Once you know it's somebody from the government that put in the pipe bombs, then everything else you filter differently. You perceive differently. All of a sudden, J6 looks like the inside job that I first ever hush hush at vivabarneslaw.locals.com was why everything about this screamed false flag. Mm-hmm. People think false flag means the event didn't happen. It's that the wrong culprit is being identified, and that everything about this appeared to have been an inside scheme, an inside scam to derail the election challenge by creating a riotous atmosphere that was done deliberately, and to create this bogus narrative of a violent insurrection that never happened. And that this person was critical to that. And so the fact that it got shut down as soon as Biden got in, and didn't get turned back up as soon as Trump got in is disturbing. And that maybe it started that way and at some point it stopped. I mean, a lot of these guys that were suspended, a lot of these FBI agents that were suspended have still not been reinstated. I represent Robin Gritz. They still haven't proposed anything to resolve the way which she was screwed over. Nothing. Not Gene Pirro. People, Gene Pirro's doing good. I've seen no signs that Gene Pirro's doing anything particularly productive or useful. I'm not seeing any signs from Kash Patel, any signs from Dan Bongino. The other person I was calling out this week, because I'm preparing in a couple of weeks to go down to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in the Brooke Jackson case. And, Brooke Jackson is the whistleblower who exposed the Pfizer fraud, that this was a dangerous drug that was being disguised and lied and mismarketed as a vaccine for COVID-19, for the prevention of COVID-19. And it was lied right in the contract. They said, we're going to deliver a safe, effective vaccine for the prevention of COVID-19. And what they delivered was dangerous, ineffective, not a vaccine, didn't prevent COVID-19. More and more evidence of turbo cancers and other things associated with the COVID shot. And that was shut down by the Biden administration that said you can't second guess or challenge vaccines because that'd be too dangerous. So they demanded the case get dismissed. It's now on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Pam Bondi is asserting the exact same language. And, she's been given now almost a year to fix this. She refuses. Why? Because pay-for-play Pam was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by Pfizer the year before she went in. She not only refuses to join the Brooke Jackson case, she is covering up the criminal fraud of Pfizer all around the world because that's why she's pay-for-play Pam. She's a corporate whore. She is setting up Trump for real impeachments that will have fire behind the smoke because of how much corruption her office is daily engaged in. It is an embarrassment to the Trump administration. If he doesn't fix this, he's going to be in serious trouble. And it starts at the top of the DOJ, and it continues over, frankly, to the top of the FBI. whatever's happening, this pipe bombers case exposes that the Epstein cover-up was not a one-off.
Let me just show something here because I want to show the homework. Why can't I see? Oh, it's because of this. No, not entire screen. Oh, wait, don't. Where is... I'll read it here. Pam Bondi was paid by Pfizer for providing legal services to the law firm Panza Maurer Maynard while she served as of counsel for the firm. Financial disclosures and reporting confirm she received over $200,000 for these services in the last year. Bondi listed Pfizer as a client and disclosed this income in her 2025 Senate Judiciary filings, public disclosures, yada, yada. Payments and representation were clearly documented. $203,738 from Panza Moyer. She did not disclose the Pfizer relationship on earlier Senate questionnaires, raising additional security. Robert, let me get this out here. I can't see this. How in the hell could you expect anyone who was a Pfizer client to now turn on Pfizer? That would almost be, if she were their attorney, she knows secrets about Pfizer that she would have obtained in her counsel that she couldn't then act against Pfizer. It would be a conflict of interest if she were a lawyer acting against Pfizer now because of what she knows as a result of her solicitor-client privilege relationship with Pfizer.
Exactly. I mean, it's just getting more and more embarrassing that this is what's going on. That Patel and Bongino were put there to clean things up, and right now they're, whether deliberately or because of something else, they're covering it up instead. And if Bongino considers his reputation having any value, he's got to start reverse this, or he needs to resign and say publicly that why he was limited and constricted. Because this is just getting worse and worse and worse. There's all kinds of crazy rumors circulating now about the Epstein files and Trump's being in them and whatnot. And all this was created by their utter mishandling, their incompetent handling of the Epstein files. And some of that stuff is going to come out because the shutdown's going to end. The House is going to have to bring in the last member, the 218th member, who Mike Johnson's not swearing in. And then the Epstein file disclosures brought by Thomas Massie will pass. And at some point, will have to get disclosed. And so, this is just getting embarrassing, the failures in this aspect. And instead, they're trying to get him to, put boots on the ground in Nigeria now. And go to war with Venezuela. It's all stuff that undermines Trump's appeal to the people who elected him. It's time to put voters first and donors second. And that means real remedy. That means real relief. That means taking on the donors. There's no, this ridiculous 50-year mortgage idea. The giving the banksters more money is not the solution, Mr. President. The solution needs to be taking on the banksters. Taking on big ag, taking on big pharma, taking on big tech, taking on the military-industrial complex, taking on the deep state. And so unless he reverses quick and fast, he's in serious political jeopardy. But there's no question that this J6 case is one of the most explosive cases of government corruption in American history, if what Steve Baker reported turns out true.
Robert, did you...